PC gamers, are you like me and rocking that old Xbox 360 controller? As you can see, it's held together by hopes and dreams and a little bit of hillbilly ingenuity. Should you update to this generation? So, in this episode, I'll be comparing my old Xbox 360 controller, which is actually 9 years old, and comparing it to a brand new Sony PS4 controller. Let's see if it's worth upgrading to this generation. Before we get into actually comparing this old Xbox 360 controller, oh, hey Arthur, and this new Sony PS4 controller, let me make one big disclaimer that many people will make when reviewing controllers of different types. If your game's off, a brand new controller isn't going to fix your awful shooting, your poor driving abilities, and poor sneaking abilities. This will not fix you sucking in Metal Gear Solid 5 or Dirt Rally. But, let's actually take a look at the two. They're actually around the same shape. It's like one's trying to copy the other. I mean, now yes, this design came out first with the Sony PlayStation 1, and Microsoft kind of said, hey, it's a neat idea, let's kind of copy it, but make it look hideous. The original giant potato Xbox controller. I think they originally called this the S. So, it's S. Maybe they should have made it red, race car stuff. But anyway, looking at this old controller, it still feels good in the hands. It's not very heavy. The button layout is really nice. They're where you need them to be. You put it in your hand, and everything is fairly accessible. And this is a great design because they haven't changed much. And as far as I know, the Xbox One's controller, while they claim they put millions of dollars into updating it, looks about the same. It's a little bit wider than the Xbox 360 controller. Let's take a look. A little bit wider, little bit, not that much, slightly shorter. It does take a little bit of getting used to. The devil here is in the details, little things, like, look at that. It's curved a little bit. That looks kind of dumb, pointless, maybe to get style points, but it actually makes a difference. Put your finger in there, rest a little bit better. As compared to this old 360 controller, like I said, it does not look like much of a difference. But after a couple hours, you feel a little bit of pain right there. But, that's splitting hairs. One legitimate reason to actually change your controller, or at least update for any reason at all, is these things wear out. As you can see, it's held together by duct tape. These D-pads, directional pads, whatever you call these joystick thingies, these things wear out, so here's some play. And let's commend Microsoft for making a product that lasted a good decade. We all like to harp on the 360, but that thing was pretty tough if you didn't get the red ring of death. You pick up the PS4 controller, you obviously know it feels new. The springs, they feel very progressive, both on the right and left, so racing games will feel maybe slightly more realistic, because we all drive with these, but everything feels tighter, maybe slightly heavier. Don't really notice the difference. If you're crying over a couple ounces heavier, then maybe you need to get out and exercise a little bit more. But everything just feels just as natural. It's a nice controller. It's actually a really nice controller. As much as I've loved this old thing, and I gave it a lot of love, as you can see, it's far from white. It's turning brown, and I thought it was cool. It's time to put this thing away, I feel. Now let's talk about why you would not want to upgrade. This, by itself, costs $65. I got it from GameStop. $65 for a controller. I remember when $40 for a controller was rage-inducing. $65! And if you don't vape or use a special type of micro USB, you gotta buy the cable. That's another $10. Taxes and all, that is $80. $80. When did that happen? That is ridiculous. But, If you need a controller, yes, you'll upgrade. Should you blow 80 bucks to upgrade? If you don't need to, don't. This was supposed to be a comparison test, and it just kind of ended up me being ragey about this in some ways, and kind of nostalgic about this, but that's what happens with age. I would like it to be known to PC gamers, if you're making the switch from this old reliable to a Sony product, you will need to run a different programmer. Yes, you will already have your driver for your Microsoft controller, but you will need to have that and a program called Input Mapper. That'll be in the description section down below. You'll have to run that program, actually open it up and run it, and then you can minimize it, to run this thing. But I have noticed zero lag. The bottom line is, if this thing works perfectly fine and you don't notice any issues, keep it. If it looks like this, you know, some wear issues, and if your cat's bitten on it a couple times, you know, upgrade. If you have 80 bucks burning in your pocket, I would suggest going for this. I don't know how the Xbox One controller actually feels. I've had it in my hands once at a GameStop, and it felt the same as this. It controls a little better in-game. Maybe. I'm going to say it responds slightly better. Slightly. When I say slightly, I almost want to put it in quotations. But if you need to be cool and trick, and you need the latest and greatest, get this thing. This is actually pretty sweet.